If there's a lag, I will see it at the beginning of the video when I click stop streaming. This is still kind of new to me. All right, so welcome to the first episode of Legend Has It. I came up with that title myself. I'm very proud. Where I will be reconstructing Jerry Goldsmith's score to the 1985 Ridley Scott movie Legend with Tom Cruise and Tim Curry and Mia Sara. So the story, if you don't know, is Jerry Goldsmith was hired to score the film Legend by Ridley Scott. He had previously done Alien for Ridley Scott and was kind of a disaster because they replaced a lot of his music or took it out or put it really low in the mix, or they used pre-existing Jerry Goldsmith scores. And it was just kind of a disaster. But Jerry came back for more and did this sword and sorcery film, Legend, very beautiful looking film, and did this gorgeous Daphnis and Chloe type of big orchestra score with a choir. There's a lot of choral elements in it. And then after a test screening, I think it was both Ridley Scott and Sid Sheinberg at Universal, the head of Universal at the time, wanted to go with a more contemporary pop music score. They thought it would make the film more successful. And so they hired Tangerine Dream to redo the score in, I think, about 2 weeks' time. I think they had 2 weeks to redo it. I remember seeing an interview with Ridley Scott where he was sitting through a test screening of Legend and he smelled pot, like people have been smoking, and were giggling at the film and everything. And I don't know if that was part of what made him panic about the sort of classic elements of having this big sort of lush early 20th century French sounding orchestral score. And maybe thought like, oh, kids are going to think this is out of date or out of style, even though it was kind of the height of the big orchestra score. But regardless, they released Legend in Europe with a different cut of the film than was released in the United States. And in the US, the US cut had the Tangerine Dream score, and the European release had Jerry Goldsmith's score. The director's cut of Legend that came out a while ago reinstates Jerry Goldsmith's score. And unfortunately, or maybe not unfortunately, but there's a lot of the temporary music still in the film. So there's Jerry Goldsmith had to deal with this again, where there's music from Psycho 2, which Jerry Goldsmith had done 2 years earlier. So the director's cut has a lot of the existing Jerry Goldsmith soundtrack in there, but there's some cues on the soundtrack that do not appear in the director's cut. And I'd have to know the movie a little bit more. I've seen the movie several times, but I'd have to know it a little bit more to figure out like, where do these pieces of music go? So the only thing that remains from the printed music is the sketches, which I got years ago because we were doing a couple cues from this movie for a concert here in Los Angeles, and I had to reconstruct them from the sort of 9-stave sketches that Goldsmith did. There's no full scores, there's no parts. It's just I don't know if it was because of the debacle of the scores being cut from the American release, or they just didn't keep good track of everything. The cue sheet from Universal that I got is also kind of incomplete. It doesn't reflect like maybe a third of the cues that I have in my set of sketches that I got, 18 years ago. So, but it's a great score. And I think my secret plan is I think it would be amazing if the movie was reimagined as a ballet with Jerry's score, the orchestra and the choir, much like they would do as they would stage like Daphnis and Chloe. That ballet requires the big orchestra and the big choir and everything. So I want to reconstruct the score just to, for my own professional development and for yours in the audience. But also, there's maybe something we can do with it in terms of getting it performed, getting it re-recorded, reimagining it as a ballet. I think that would be so cool. So my plan is today's going to be a short day because it's a short main title cue and it's not a terribly involved main title cue. But just to make sure that I don't miss anything from the sketches, I'm actually going to engrave the sketch first, and then I'm going to sort of attribute it to the full score. So that is the plan, and enjoy. I don't know. I'm going to try. This may not work, and I don't have comments in front of me if people are commenting. I'm going to try playing the audio of the cue. You know what? I got to experiment. I don't want to have dead air where I'm sitting there and you can't hear anything. So I'm just going to engrave today, and I'll maybe post a video later of what the full audio sounds like. All right, so I'm staring at a 9-stave sketch, and in the second to last staff, we have a viola line. I'm actually going to lower this because it's probably very loud. Okay, cool. And actually, I don't know if we need sound right now. It'll be boring. Okay, I'll turn it up a little bit. Okay. So I have the first 8 bars. Actually, at bar 5, we add an E natural or an F natural. Okay, so we have 4 bars of E. It's a very paddy sort of cue at the beginning. No, I don't want that. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll just break the tie. Whatever. I'm gonna draw on the slurs and the ties differently anyway. So. Okay, so this is marked Sempre Pianissimo, and this is the violas. And then above that we have where do they expand? At bar 5. Okay, cool. Oops. All right, these are violins, and they are marked Sempre Pianissimo. Okay, same dynamic marking, and I just want to make sure. Actually, let me just abbreviate it. Okay, so violins, consort, violas, consort. So they're muted. So I have a note here: sopranos and altos with the violins and violas, also sempre pianissimo. So I'm going to write a note. Actually, nah, I want to stay true to the sketch. Okay, so with soprano. Actually, let me do this. You're figuring this out with me. All right. Let's just do a box note. Okay. Soprano plus alto with violins and violas, sempre pianissimo. And let's actually put that here because this bottom staff isn't being used. Okay. Okay, so then next we have this A minor chord that turns into an F major 7 chord in bar 5, is doubled by, there's many 80s like DX and OB8 synthesizers in this score, which kind of date the score a little bit, but also I think if those sounds can be discovered and have modern sort of reverb and production put on them, I think they could be really cool. So, or we just keep it like it was, keep it like the 80s. So that's the first 4 bars, and then it holds for another 13 bars. And it goes to this. There we go, much quicker. All right, so this is expander. The handwriting is very bad, so some of the numbers are not great, but I'm going to say it's expander 98. And let's just say I think there's 3 keyboard parts in this score. So let's just give this to keys 1. Okay. Just a note here, this is going to be tenor and bass. There we go. Is this stave here? Just so I know, because there's nothing on it right now. Okay, so then we have another keyboard. 1 and 3. So this might be keyboard 2. Whatever. Okay. I'm going to make up my own attributions of what keyboard gets what part. Okay. So in bar 4, we have this very synthy thing. You are on the second stave. All right. And it is a septuplet. I think 30-second notes. There we go. So it's DX16. So it's a DX16. That might be the patch number. Okay, so DX16 full modulation. There's no dynamic on it, so I'm doing these sketches verbatim. I'll figure out I'll do my own editorializing on the dynamics. All right, so then we have these little fleeting kind of motivic gestures in this synthesizer. It's this very echoey kind of bell synth. Need that to be a 30-second note. And then so these are all slurred. Oops. And then another round of, I believe, the same thing, just an octave lower. Yes. Okay. So let's copy paste that. Put it down an octave. Let's see. Where does the pedal? Yeah. Okay. It's just pedaled throughout. So I'm just going to put that note. There we go. The weird font. Okay, let's try that again. Where'd you go? There it is. Okay. Okay, so we're ready to move on to the next system. This is keyboard 3. I think it's the same keyboard. Okay. So, let me get in panorama view. Okay. So now let's start with the top line. So we have the oboe, is it 2 oboes? Okay. Coming in on E. They have this very, very wide vibrato marked. Smorzato, which is a term I've seen. I'll have to look that up. Actually, let me look it up now because I have a phone. Because it's 2025. Smorzato. Is it with a T? Yes. Music. No, not Smorzando. Wait a minute. Sorry, this is riveting for you, I'm sure. So Sforzando, an Italian directive for performance to gradually fade away, meaning to become slower and softer. It is a combined effect of a diminuendo and a ritardando. Huh. Okay. I thought it was something else. That's okay. I'm not usually right about these things. Okay. So this is, I'm just going to be clear, 2 oboes. But they do have kind of a wide vibrato notation above them. So we're starting triple P and crescendoing to forte, which it's marked. Yeah, it's marked smorzato, so it's misspelled, first of all. And also it's doing the opposite of what the definition told us to do, because it's getting louder. So I'm just, well, let me be true to the sketch. I'll put a question mark. Okay, and then we have the oboes come back in again. We have a flute thing. Let's do the flute thing because that's the up stem thing in 14. Okay, so that's going to be sextuplet. I think it just goes back down. And we need that on, there we go. It just goes back to B. So that's our flutes. It's 2 flutes. So we've got 2 flutes, and the dynamic is mezzo forte down to piano, but we have a little thing there, little hairpin. And actually, because this is the top thing, let's move these up. Because there's a second voice underneath it. Okay, so then the oboes come back in here. Half note tied to, actually I got to do this in voice too. Okay, so there we go. And looks like it's tied over to B as well. Okay, let's clear that. And I'm just going to put 2 oboes. And actually, let's do this. 2 oboes. And then it starts pianissimo and crescendos to something. Let's say crescendos to piano with the. I'm going to start editorializing because there's just a lot of information lacking, and we'll edit dynamics as I listen to the soundtrack. Okay, so then at bar 9 we have a continuation of our keyboard. I'm going to put it. It's now in bass clef. So this is the same keyboard from before. It's just providing this accompaniment figure. These A minor 9 arpeggios. Actually, you just copy paste. It's the same thing. There we go. And then it's the same 2 bars again here. And then, so we've been rooted in A minor this whole time. We had that slight kind of F major 7 chord thing, but then we kind of plummet back into the despair of A minor. Okay, so then we have a chord change as delineated in the keyboard part to F minor. So we're already introducing all of these chromatically related minor triads, chromatic medians, if you will. Oh, you know what? And actually, okay. So these are within a triplet. Ah, he's sneaky. Okay, I got to do this again. So it's actually this. It's a triplet. And then each thing. Oops. It's actually that. Sneaky, sneaky. I wouldn't have caught that. Okay. So I'm doing this publicly. I need a record of all of my screw ups. Okay, so we're going to copy paste that and that. No, I don't want that. Ugh. Okay. If I do that, will that make you? Yes, thank you. Okay. There we go. Okay, so now we're up to date. Huh. And it also says 8VB, maybe. This could be down an octave. I'm going to just write a note for myself. Actually, I'm just going to leave a comment. Let me go back to that oboe thing. Okay, so check out Smorzato, and then is this 8VB? It's hard with synthesizer sounds because, you know, you can put them in any octave transposition you want. So I don't know if the sounding pitch of what's notated is actually, you know, correlates as like a loco centered pitch. Okay. We'll worry about it later. All right, so now moving on. Oh, so actually we're going to do the triplet thing again. So here's the triplet, and then we have to put a 16th triplet within that. There we go. And then on beat there, and then, yeah, right here. Perfect. Okay, let's slur these. Okay, one more of those, sorry. All right, and then one on beat 4 at the end of measure 16. It's the same pattern. There we go. Okay. Okay, so I actually, well, let me finish this system, and then I want to do a review of the first two systems to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, so the third stave, we have a new synth in bar 15. So we have, this is the, they're sort of goblin henchmen for the character Darkness that Tim Curry plays, and they have their own little synthy motif, which is introduced here. In practice, it's like it's always between a perfect fifth, and then the notes, both notes of the perfect fifth go towards each other. So if it's like F and C, then it goes to B and F sharp. So it's that tritone relationship. Oops, I didn't play it right. There it is. Yeah. So that's what it is in later on in the movie, but for now it's just the perfect fifth. And the synth has some kind of grace note thing onto it. So if you listen to the soundtrack, it's like bum 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 ba da 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 bum bum. So when you play it as quarter notes, the half step above it almost like slides into the written pitch. So this is this particular DX sound. So it's DX 3. And this, you know, that's a separate show, me trying to find all of these sounds from 1984, 85. All right, so that's the third stave. The fourth stave, we just have harp and vibraphone. So they just have some 16th notes and a whole note. And then there's a slide whistle. Okay. How do I want to do this? Okay, so we'll make it voice 2. So this is bar 14. So I'm going to make this voice 2. And then this is the harp and vibraphone. Kind of doing a hemiola with the flutes. The flutes have 16th note sextuplets. The harp and vibraphone have duple 16th notes. So just creating that blur. It's a very, the opening of the movie is this kind of shot of a forest at night. So it's very, it's a lot of like dark blues in terms of the color scheme. So it's a very icy, kind of foggy sounding opening. It's very, very cool. Okay, so I'm gonna put harp plus vibes, and this is pianissimo. And then we have a slide whistle for 2 beats. Kind of notates it there, and we're going to turn the notation into something else. What do I want to turn it into? Probably a triangle. Okay. Slide whistle, and it glisses down. Let's see, can I do this? I can't. Okay. There we go. So slide whistle is piano. All right, that's the end of that stave. And then moving on. So we're back at bar 9 at the beginning of the 5th staff. I keep saying stave as if it's singular. And I will keep doing that. You can correct me as many times as you want. I'm not going to learn. All right, the 5th staff is where our tenor and bass enter. I thought it was. Oh, okay. So this means nothing. All right. So this is our tenor and bass in the choir. So they're holding a perfect 5th, and then they move to a major 6th. Okay. Because again, we're starting from A minor. So they're holding the root and the 5th of A minor. And then they switch over to, it's F minor in first inversion. So we have A flat on the bottom. There we go. Okay, so pianissimo, this is tenor, bass. Okay. All right, so that's that. All right. And then we continue with the keyboard, the expander, which is right here. Oh, okay. Oh, so it just moves down a staff. Okay. Ugh. It's already getting messy. Wait a minute. How many staves do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what did I do? What did I do wrong? How did I screw this up? Violas, violins should be the 4th stave up, and then should be the 5th stave up. Sorry, this is baffling. 4. Yeah, that's the 4th stave. Staff. Ugh, why is this so confusing? Okay, you know what? I'm not going to worry about it for now because I'm live and I should be doing something. Okay. Let's just put this here. Okay, so we've got whole note, whole note tied to a quarter note. So this is now our expander, but this should be. Sorry, I don't mean to be stalling out here. I'm just freaking out. Why is this not working? Right. Okay. 4. And then 5. Okay. Sorry. I'll fix it later. Let's take a look at this from bird's eye view. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's why there's only okay. Sorry. I will no longer be panicked. I needed an extra staff. Okay. So let's move all this down. That's what happened. All right. I got you now. So this can actually do what I said earlier and be moved up here. Perfect. Okay. So then, yes, and then this is the expander. Cool. Okay, so now we have in parentheses, we have sort of a nod for this sound, which is expander. It's a different expander sound. It's in whatever. Okay. And then the other sound continues with pads. So I'm going to do this. And then I'm just going to go back to voice 1. So this holds for another. There we go. I'll put that in parentheses, actually. Cool. Okay. Then we continue with our strings and choir. This ties over. I'm just going to break it up every 4 bars. I'm making an executive decision right now because the slur to tie differentiation as the chords change is going to get nightmarish. And I ain't got time for that. And then the chord changes here. So what's interesting is he ties over the C because the C is the note that A minor and F minor have in common. I'm just going to start a new thing. I get that it's supposed to be as legato as possible, but honestly, they'll figure it out. All right, and then the viola and choir. Got to figure out how to notate that. Or divide it up, rather. Okay, so then it goes to C and F for the F minor chord. Oops. There we go. And then back here at okay, I get it. Okay. So then the cello bass come in. We have the cellos divided. Well, I'm just going to write it like it's written here. So this is bar 9, whole note. Little boy, change that clef. There we go. Okay, so actually, oops, it should be up an octave. There we go. So I'd put the top two notes in the cello part, and the bass would get the bass note. Okay. All right, we're almost done. I'm going to check my work at the end. Okay. So next system, top staff, we have the oboes are continuing. Yes. Okay. So that should be a bottom voice thing, actually. So let's do that. Voice 2. Oh, and it's actually tied over like that. So this is, oh, let me put in the oboes, and this is pianissimo. And we're crescendoing. It doesn't say to where, so we'll figure it out later. But then we have the flutes are on beat 2, I think. Okay. So I believe it's this. So that's the 2 flutes. Actually, let me put the dynamics in first. So it's mezzo forte. What is it? Yeah, mezzo forte to forte down to piano. Let's move all these up. So my guess is this should be, let me fix that. My guess is this should be forte as well. So again, just doing some early editorializing because I don't want to have to do it later. Okay. And then top stave, we have another flute, little flourish in bar 20. Yep, that's a C. Okay. You should see the ant farm that I'm looking at on this end. I'll show one of the sketches eventually. It's kind of impossible to read. Okay, so that's flutes. Assuming the same dynamics, let's. There's no dynamics, but I'm just gonna, for the sake of time. Same dynamics as before. And then we have one more flute gesture in 23. So we have a half note, and then we have E flat, E flat, Yeah, that is correct. Okay. Great. Probably same dynamics as before. I'm going to copy that comment over here. Actually, no, it's going to be a little weird. Same dynamics. Okay. Staff number 2, continuing with the keyboard, the arpeggiating keyboard. We've actually moved up a tone, so we're in G minor now. So that's our new arpeggio. We have the same kind of pattern where it goes 3 times and then takes a 2-beat section off and then comes back in again. But this time we have a chord change instead of it staying on G minor forever. We go to B minor. Actually, there we go. Okay. Back to the minor 9 outline. Oops, I screwed that up. There we go. And then one more time on the downbeat of 21. And then we have another chord change, I think. Yes, G sharp minor. So all these chromatically related minor chords. Although G sharp minor and B minor they do not. Sure. Yeah, no, they don't. I was right the first time. Oh, I'm doing it again. Okay, hang on a second. Triplet and then a triplet within the triplet. There we go. Just on the downbeat and then on off beats now, or on beats 2 and 4, I should say. G sharp minor. Wait, no. No, C minor. Okay, my fault. My bad. Oh, this print is killing my eyes. But that's why I'm doing it. Because it's worth it. It's worth it to go blind reading this. There we go. Okay. All right, that's the end of staff number 2. Okay, staff number 3. We have more of the goblins sort of synth motif, and I think we actually go to the tritone this time. So this starts in bar 20. So let's get back to 20, and this is beat 2. Okay. There's our B5 to F, F5 inverted or F4, whatever you want to call it. Okay. And then we have 4 quarter notes. I don't see an accent above the C, but I bet it's there. And then, oh, did I start a bar to something? 24? Starts in 20, right? Dun, 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 dun. And then 21 is dun, 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 dun. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, I see what I did. Okay, so there's one more keyboard thing that I did not notate. So this is E minor. Perfect. Okay. And then we have 4 quarter notes. All right. And then in the 4th staff, we have more of the harp and vibraphone with the slide whistle. One, two. Huh, I'm curious now. Dum, da, 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 dum. Because this one is notated. So before I pointed out to you that this was duple 16th notes. And I was like, oh, that's a cool P miola. But now this next one, I'm seeing it's actually it's an 8th note with a 16th note triplet. So it's just playing the first note and then playing these as 16th note triplets. So that's probably what the previous one is, and I just couldn't see the 3 as well. So let's actually fix that, because that's probably what it is. So I want that, and then there we go. Okay, so that's probably what it is. It's painstaking. You have to keep going back, and you have to keep. I'm glad I'm doing the sketch reduction first. It's going to make checking my work so much easier. Because if I can check it in a small 9-stave score and know that everything is as accurate as I could get it, then orchestrating it is going to be a lot more foolproof. Okay, so we're in bar 13, or no, 18. Okay. So we're in 18, and we have, this is a, okay, we'll make it voice 2. And then we're going to go. Oops. So that's our, oh dear, what happened? There we go. Harp, and vibe. And then we're going to put a slide whistle on beat 2. So just use the same notation we did last time. There we go. There's actually a little, here, let's do this. Piano, and then there we go. And this is pianissimo. All right. So then we have another thing with the flute here. So let's grab that. I think the slide whistle is out, so I'm just going to do voice 1 for this. This is the harp and vibraphone again. Yeah. That's interesting. Okay. Dun, dun. Because the first 3 notes of the flute thing are D, E, B flat, D, C. The first 5 notes, anyway. And then the harp and vibraphone should be D, and then the high D, C, E, D. And instead it's marked D, B flat, C, E. So it's it differs from the, if there's a reason for that. Well, all right, I'm going to notate it like that because that's probably what it's meant to be. It just differs from the pattern, so I get suspicious. Harp and vibraphone. Oh, there might be. Because there's a dyad on the next one. So I wonder if they're playing 2 notes at once. You know what? They put a ledger line above the B flat in the sketch, and they wouldn't have done that if there wasn't a third above it. So I'm gonna assume that's what it is. And why not? It you know, at some point this stuff becomes kind of negligible. All right. And then the last one for the harp and vibraphone is here in 23. And there's also a slide whistle on that one as well. So we have E flat, and then I'm actually going to notate this as C flat. I wonder if it's worth it to do that in the... Yeah, whatever. Okay. All right, so that's still harp and vibes. And then the... Oh, you know what? Let me make this voice 2, because then the... slide whistle comes in here. I want it to be this notation and a thing, a gliss. Same dynamic. Okay. Then we have our tenor bass. So we're going to go back to that, starting at 17. And then, oh, back to F minor. There we go. I'll figure out slurring and all that later. Okay, so in keyboard 1, we have a couple other instances of the, what chord is this? This is G minor. Okay, so that's an E flat. It's probably some minor sixth thing against the G minor chord. In that one synth, the expander 69 synth, and then the rest of it is the other synth from before. And then I'm going to turn this back into voice 1. This is just for a half note. And then, oh, actually, no. This is also going to be voice 2 because that synth comes in again right there. There we go. Oh, and it's just a quarter note, actually. Not that. There we go. Okay, so then comes back in with this. Half rest, F minor, B minor, G sharp minor, C minor. Actually, let's turn this into voice 2 because we have our expander synth on D. And then finally, there we go. All right, next stave. Staff, it is a staff. Singular staff, Max. Come on. Okay, this is the violins and the choir, parts of the choir. Just all these chromatic minor chords. And then we have the violas and choir. Let's respell that. There we go. And then great. And then the cello bass line. So we've got this. And then B minor. Oh, that should be tied over. There we go. And then back to B minor here. And then, so it's E minor in second inversion, which is so crazy. All right, good enough. And then the last system, and it's much less complicated, which is good. Okay, so bar 25, we have in our top staff, nothing. In our second staff, we have the arpeggiating synth. So it comes in on this beat, whatever beat that is. So we've moved to B flat minor. And then we have a whole new synth. Our DX15. And DX5. Let's see. Huh. All right, whatever. It's a gesture. It does the synth names. I'm not going to get too caught up with because I'll just have to pick them out of the soundtrack, and we have to rebuild them anyway. So whatever. I'm already annoyed with this project. No. One last chord. And then that's the end of that. There is just one more thing in the third stave. Okay, and then we have the tenor bass. Yeah, there's nothing in the fourth stave, so we continue with the tenor bass. And then it's after B flat minor, we go to D minor for the rest of the cue. So actually, let me expand out. So this is 27. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 bars tied to an eighth note. There we go. Alrighty, and then the synth, I think it's the Expander 98. I don't know if we have any I don't know if we have that other sound that takes up the voice one. It doesn't look like it. Yeah, that's all done. Okay. Here. Boom. Oh, and then it switches. Okay, so boom. And it just goes for another quarter note. That's the end of that. All right, and then we have the violins and parts of the choir. All right. That's that, and then the violas and parts of the choir. And last but not least, the cello bass. All right, there is our sketch. So I want to go through and review it to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, so I'm going to separate these by systems, that the way the systems are separated in the sketch, so I can tell them apart. That goes to 15. No, it goes to 16, right? Yeah. And this goes to 24. And then the rest of the queue. Okay. So page 1, system 1, top staff, we have nothing. Second staff, we have the DX, full modulation, we have the pedal marking. The notes look correct. That looks good. Okay. Third stave, nothing. Fourth stave, nothing. Fifth stave, nothing. Staff, it's a staff, Max. You've got to say staff. All right. Sixth staff. That's so hard for me to say. I don't know why. We have the expander, and this is actually a quarter note. Glad I checked. And then that's also a quarter note. Good, good, good. Expander 90, it's either 98 or 99. It doesn't even matter. We just need to, whatever. Violins with mutes, sempre pianissimo. They have that dyad or duad. It's dyad, I think. And then we have a triad, violas starting on E, and then they have that minor second, and the sopranos and altos are with violins and violas, sempre pianissimo. Great. Okay, so that's system 1. System 2. Top stave. We've got staff. Oh my gosh. I don't even care. I'm not going to correct myself. It's going to be the quirky part of my live streams. I used the wrong word. I pluralized something that is singular. Okay, so we've got the oboe. We've got that weird smorzato term, which is both misspelled and not dynamically doing the thing that the definition said it was supposed to do. So I got to look into that. But that is the dynamic that's written in. And then we have the two oboes on the B again. I have clarinets and bassoons. There's some excuse me. I see clarinets and bassoons marked in here, and I'm not sure if that's I'll have to actually hang on. Let me go to a different version of the sketch. It's oboes. I don't know if clarinets and bassoon join in on that. I don't think they do. I'm going to assume that's just nothing. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. So then second staff, we have the keyboard. Okay, so there's the 3 beats there, then that repeats, and then there's the 3 iterations there. Just the 1 iteration and the iteration on beat 4. Good. Okay. And then the third staff, we have the DX, the goblin thing. Do, 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 do. That's correct. They're all accented. We have the harp vibraphone and the slide whistle. We have the tenor bass. We have the continuation of the expander synth. We have the first notation of the other expander synth. We have the violins and choir, violins and choir. We have the violas and choir, violas and choir. Cello bass, cello bass. All right, that's good. Moving on to the third system. Okay, so we have a continuation of the oboes. Oh, you know what? And all of these should have... I'm going to put the wide vibrato. I have to listen to the soundtrack, actually, to see if this one is wide vibrato. So let me leave a note for myself. Listen to OST for wide vib on OBS. Nothing but abbreviations. Okay. Okay, so we got the... Where are we? There we go. Okay. So we have the flute, the flutes with the dynamics. We have the flutes without the dynamics, but I think they should be there. And then we have the flutes with the dynamics again. Yeah, and they're there. I don't want to mark them in now. Yeah, so this says it's an octave lower. So I'm just going to make an executive decision that this should be an octave lower. So this entire keyboard part. There we go. All right. I feel better now. Great. Okay, so then we have the Goblin synth again. All of that is accounted for. Yes, yes, yes. And then we have the harp and vibraphone and the slide whistle, harp and vibraphone and the slide whistle, harp and vibraphone and the slide whistle. Oh, is there there's no slide whistle on the second one. Okay. Tenor bass. That looks correct. We have the keyboard, the expander keyboards. That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. That's good. Violins and choir. That's good. Violas and choir. That's good. Yes. Cello and bass. That is good. Okay. And then the final system. Okay, nothing in the top staff. Second staff, we have the last keyboard thing, and then we switch to the DX15. It's like a bell. If I recall, it's like a chime, like a church bell chime sound. We have the thing. That looks like it was erased, so it's probably not in there. We have tenor bass. We have the expander synth. We have the violins and choir. We have the violas and choir, and we have the cello bass. Okay, that's it. That's good. Okay, so I'm going to orchestrate it on another live stream probably tomorrow. So it was just a quickie today because I'm streaming through a different thing. So actually, I'm going to sit here quietly because I want to see if I can play the audio of this cue from Logic, even though I'm not sharing that window. I guess I could go. Hang on, maybe I can go in and maybe I can change what I'm sharing. So if I stop sharing, and then it's just me, and then I'm going to share the. Do I want to share the entire screen? I probably don't want to do that. I'm just going to share the Logic file. So here's the audio of the selection that we were working on today. Enjoy. And there it is. All right. So we'll orchestrate it probably tomorrow on the live stream. I'll try to figure out how, if you're leaving comments in a chat. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm not reading them. I will try to figure that out. I get kind of buried in the work, so I'll do my best because I know that's what a good streamer would do, is respond to you, beautiful people. So I will work on this. This is still new for me. So and I'm looking at myself in the screen. This is still new for me. There you are. There's your eye line. This is still new for me. So give me a little grace period to get used to everything. So I'm going to stop sharing, and we are going to end the stream for today. So I'll be back tomorrow. I don't know what time, but you'll please click the subscribe and like button. This is new for me too. And hit the bell to get notifications if I'm going live. And then I have a Patreon, patreon.com/MaxMuellerMusic. And if you don't want to join me on Patreon and you want to support me, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/MaxMuellerMusic. All right. Have a wonderful day. Love you.